Iconic villains are what make the story interesting. When it comes to iconic villains, there are two characters that specifically pop up in my mind, and they are Sukuna and Madara, both being an absolute menace in their own respective verses. And what if we pair these two against each other? Today we are here to discuss that exactly. But before we do, guys, like and subscribe to the channel. And also, if you want your own what ifs and fan theories to come true and to be made, become a member to the channel. But without any delay, let's begin the video. So first of all, verse equalization is gonna be there. Chakra and cursed energy are gonna be treated pretty much the same thing, right? They're both gonna be treated as energy in this case that both characters can use. And which version of each character is gonna be taken? For Madara, that is gonna be the one that fought in the war with the two Rinnegan instead of one. So, he's not gonna have the 10 tails because at that point it's just a one-sided slaughter from Madara's side. And the version of Sukuna we're gonna take is the one who fought Gojo with the 10 shadows, because if we take the world cutting slash Sukuna, I don't think there's anything even the likes of Madara can do, even in his like 10 tails form or something, to stop the world cutting slash, right? So yeah, to make things interesting, we're gonna take these two versions of the characters. Madara, the one with the Rinnegan, dual Rinnegan, and obviously we're gonna take Megumi Sukuna, the one with the 10 shadows. The first challenger is Sukuna, who's probably currently the strongest character in JJK, with him being able to kill Gojo, who was stated to be the pinnacle of power in the verse by the author himself. As for Sukuna's abilities, his main abilities are his slash attacks that can't be seen even by something like Gojo's 6 size, which we'll talk about it as the video goes on further. And Cleave adjusts the slash's power according to the target's cursed energy and kill them in one fell swoop. But Sukuna does need to touch his opponents to activate Cleave, and the target can survive Cleave in case you're wondering. Like Gojo, Mahoraga, and Yuji, all three of them have survived Cleave. So noting that all three of these characters have survived Cleave, also you need to note something, that all these three characters do have reverse curse technique, meaning they can heal from Cleave, right? Then Sukuna also has his Fuga ability, which summons flames powerful enough to destroy a cursed spirit literally made out of fire, and Mahoraga in a single attack. At last comes Sukuna's domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine, which is the most refined domain in the entire series, as in this domain, Cleave and Dismantle continuously attack their opponents, and also Sukuna manifests his own domain in real life. So even if you don't have cursed energy like someone like Maki or Toji, you'll still get hit by the sure hit of the domain. Now comes the ability that makes Sukuna a force to be reckoned with even in the Naruto verse, and that is his use of the 10 shadows technique, specifically Mahoraga and the Shikigami's ability to adapt to any and all phenomena. So basically how it works is, suppose you hit Mahoraga with a Rasengan or something. After Mahoraga takes the Rasengan, the wheel on top of the Shikigami head will turn. And if you try to attack Mahoraga with the Rasengan again, the attack won't simply work. And that goes for anything, like the basic slashes from a sword to even something as complex as Gojo's Infinity. And also Sukuna can literally teleport from shadows to shadows to hide things in the shadows as well. So just keeping that in mind as well. Now for Madara, a character that Kishimoto himself admitted he didn't know how to kill because of how powerful he made him. But here we are talking about the Madara who was reanimated, but without the regeneration of the reanimation, pretty much. That's what we're discussing. So Madara's abilities, Madara's physical abilities are monstrous. As in the anime, with pure taijutsu and physical power, he was able to take down hundreds and hundreds of ninja without breaking a sweat. Madara's ninjutsu are also pretty strong, as he can do many fire-based attacks like Sukuna, similar to Sukuna. But Madara's main power comes in his eyes, the Sharingan and the Rinnegan. Madara has one of the strongest genjutsu in the entire series, as he was able to put the likes of the Nine Tails in a genjutsu and control it like his puppet. Not to mention, Madara's Susanoo is insanely durable, as it can even tank things like the freaking Biju Bomb attacks, which are continental level, by the way. And Madara's Susanoo is also capable of destroying mountains with a single swing of his sword. And then there is the Rinnegan abilities, which I don't think I need to even explain. There are 6 paths of pain. The Madara has all of those. The Diva path's ability to use gravity, like pull and push things, and absorb his opponent's chakra, pull out their soul if he needs to. He can also summon the Rinnegan creatures if he really wants to, which I doubt Madara ever will. He can also use abilities like the Chibako Tensei, which forms an absolute hell of a meteor in the sky, just in case he wants to. But in this case, Madara won't, since he's sort of alive, he's not reanimated, so he doesn't have regeneration to rely on. So just keep that in mind. But there is a special ability that Madara can use, only specific to his Rinnegan, and that are Limbo clones. Clones which are in a completely different dimension and can only be seen by the likes of the Rinnegan and sensed by the Sage of Six Paths Naruto, which is nothing to scoff at, because Sage of Six Paths Naruto has insane level of sensory abilities that we are talking over here. So now that we have made these characters' ability clear, how would they fare up against each other is the main question. Well, let me just say, this version of Madara and Sukuna are actually pretty close in terms of speed and physical stats. Both of them are above light speed, with a fatigued Sukuna after his battle with Gojo reacting to and dodging Kashimo, who is light speed in his mythical beast form. Madara casually reacting to the likes of Sage Mode and KCM2 Naruto. So in that department, they both are pretty much equal for the most part, right? Maybe Madara does have a little bit of edge in that department, but for the most part, they both are pretty equal. But the abilities, now here is where things get really tricky, because Genjutsu is a factor that popped up in my mind, and Sukuna has no idea or what to do when he's hit with one genjutsu. But being the genius that Sukuna is, would it be too much to assume that Sukuna can crack a genjutsu? I mean, we are talking about the same guy who figured out Maharaga's abilities in the manga, at least, only after like 2 or 3 attacks. So yeah, I'm gonna assume that Sukuna will crack the genjutsu, as his IQ is high enough. So yeah, we're just gonna assume that Sukuna will crack the genjutsu. But if you think that Sukuna can't crack the genjutsu, then Madara simply wins. There's nothing that Sukuna can do about that. But assuming that Sukuna can get out of one, then it starts to get into a battle. But the first obstacle for Sukuna will be getting through Madara's Susanoo. But Sukuna might be able to do that and completely negate the Susanoo as a whole as a barrier. And why that may be, you may ask. The Susanoo is also a defensive mechanism similar. The Susanoo is also a defensive mechanism similar to the Limitless, and the Susanoo is a lot less complex than the Limitless, meaning Maharaga will adapt to the Susanoo's defenses and the chakra that it is using a lot sooner than the Limitless, because obviously Limitless is a literal atomic level technique. Meanwhile, the Susanoo is literally a formation of chakra around you, right? So I think Maharaga will be able to give Sukuna a way to get through the Susanoo and make the Susanoo completely useless. And as for Sukuna's slashes killing Madara, it's complex, as because Madara doesn't have the regeneration, as I'm not giving him Hashirama cells, meaning Sukuna's slashes will be a lot more effective and maybe even kill Madara for what we know. But this is assuming that Madara doesn't use his trump card, and that is the Limbo clones. There is no way for Sukuna to counter the Limbo clones, except for maybe Maharaga, as Sukuna, if he tanks enough of the Limbo clones attacks, then Maharaga will be able to figure out a way to attack the Limbo clone. But then again, this is assuming that Sukuna doesn't get killed before Maharaga adapts. So if you're assuming that Sukuna is not durable enough to counter the Limbo clones, then yeah, Madara wins. But if you're assuming that, like how I am, with Sukuna's RCT, that he'll be able to tank the Limbo clones long enough for until Maharaga simply adapts to them, right? And there's another way that Sukuna can deal with this. This literally popped up in my mind, and that is his domain expansion. How is that, you may ask? Domain attacks everything inside its barrier, or in this case Sukuna's real life, with a guaranteed hit effect, right? So if you think that Sukuna's class slashes won't affect the Limbo clones since they're in a different dimension, you're welcome to assume so. But I do think the Limbo clones, who are technically gonna be under Sukuna's domain range, in that living space as a whole, they might be attacked by Malevolent Shrine's short-hit effect. Again, this is a pure assumption. If you don't think that Sukuna's Malevolent Shrine short effect can hit the Limbo clones, you're completely fine to assume that, because eventually that's just gonna be a winning factor for Madara in case the short effect of the domain doesn't affect the Limbo clones. Again, it's completely assumption. If you guys think that it will affect the Limbo clones, then the Limbo clones simply die and Madara vs Sukuna takes place, and there's nothing literally that Madara can do to defend against Malevolent Shrine at this point, because I did say that probably Sukuna would have adapted to Madara's Susanoo by this point. So there's nothing that literally Madara can do. His Susanoo is completely useless at this point, and the slashes are gonna just hit him, right? So yeah, that is done. But then again, the thing with this entire battle is if Madara does play around. If Madara plays around, then he will lose. I genuinely think that he will lose, because as I mentioned everything before, the Limbo clones, they'll be rather adapted to or hit by the domain short effect. The Susanoo is going to be adapted to by Maharaga. And the thing is that, as I just thought of this right now as I'm recording this, Sukuna might be able to pull off the world-cutting slashes if Madara continues to use the Susanoo, right? Because again, the Susanoo barrier and the limitless barrier are somewhat the same, right? It doesn't let the opponent hit them. So if Maharaga simply sees like, okay, I cannot adapt to this by simply doing nothing, right? So what I'm gonna do is simply cut the entire space that Madara exists in, so that his Susanoo is literally useless. And if that happens, GG for Madara. There's nothing that he can do in case that happens, but I doubt that would happen. I just think that Maharaga would just completely negate the entirety of the Susanoo's chakra barrier and then just slash him. That's just what I think. But again, what do you guys think? Comment down below. Who do you think will win, Madara or Sukuna? And also comment down your reasons as to why do you think these two characters or any one of them would win. As I stated before, if I took the version of Madara with the 10 tails, his pure physical stats are way off the roof. There's nothing that Sukuna can do. He's just going to be completely overwhelmed by Madara's pure physical abilities. Not to mention, even if he does have the world cutting slashes, Madara does have pretty high regeneration. Even being sliced in half, Madara was absolutely fine. So I don't think that would be a problem. And since the world cutting slashes that Sukuna does use are visible to the naked eye. So I do think that Madara will be able to dodge them with pretty goddamn ease as well. So yeah, I just stated the facts. That's for the most part, in this version, if Madara does take Sukuna seriously from the start and kills him off without Madara being able to adapt to him, then Madara wins 100%. But if Madara plays around, then yeah, Sukuna will win. But then again, 10 Tails Madara pretty much stomps everyone. So yeah, that's that. But again, well, who am I? Comment down below what the hell do you think? Sukuna or Maraga? Also comment down the reasons why do you think each of these characters will win. But until then, I will see you guys in the next video, and peace out.